It's the week before Thanksgiving, as I mentioned, and we often focus this week and this Sunday, this last Sunday before we head into the season of Advent and begin all of those celebrations that we have, whether it's gathering with family this week or the parties and celebrations in the week to come, focusing this week on that idea of gratitude and giving thanks. Can you keep a secret? Just between us? I didn't want to preach today. There's this thing where I didn't want to preach today, and frankly, I really would have liked to stay home in my pajamas, in bed or on the couch. And they frown on that when you're the pastor. It's not the first time I've felt that way. I said to Megan this very thing last night. I said, I don't want to get up and preach tomorrow about this idea of giving thanks. She knows. We've had a week. We've had a week, and it's been out of control. You've experienced this in your life, yes? It's been out of control, and gratitude is just not like at the top of my mind as I think about it. I said to Megan, I don't want to stand up there and talk about gratitude. And she looked at me, and she smiled, and she said, David, what happened the last time you didn't want to go preach? I said, yeah, I know. I went and preached, and it was great, and I loved it, and it made me feel better. Because she knows, because this is not the first time. You see, there is nothing inherently holier about being here as we are this morning than being home on the couch in your pajamas, right? Like, it's not that this somehow gives you a gold star, right, so that you can enter into heaven. It doesn't work that way. People often, I'll be going through the grocery store, I'll run into somebody I haven't seen in several months, and they'll say to me, oh, Pastor, I should go to church. They say it to me. I'm like, should you? Really? I didn't want to get up here and preach. But what I knew and what Megan reminded me of is this. Coming here on Sunday morning, especially when I don't want to, is exactly what I need. It recenters my life and my vision on what matters most. You see, when I get in a foul mood, when I get caught up in all of the bad news and the things are going wrong, when I see another mass killing in our country, when I see again how hateful words lead to hateful violence, inevitably, I want to just obsess over those things, over everything that's wrong. And once I start, right, like once you find one thing that's wrong, there's 10 more things that's wrong. And it just grows and grows and grows. And you say, I just want to sit on the couch because I'm so unhappy. And then you just sit in the unhappiness and feed it more unhappiness, and it grows. There are real things wrong in the world and in our lives. There are real, meaningful problems that we need to address in the world and in our lives. We should look at them. We should talk about them. But this holiday of Thanksgiving, this opportunity to gather on a Sunday morning in the midst of it all, reminds us to recenter our vision. Paul says it in Philippians, and I come back to it again and again in Philippians Chapter 4, verse 8, from now on, think about these things. Whatever is good, whatever is holy, whatever is beautiful, whatever is worthy of praise, focus on those things. Paul, 2,000 years ago, knew that they were going through then the same sort of stuff that we go through now. They were dealing with a world overcome by violence. They were dealing with people being oppressed. They were dealing with militaries waging wars that were unjust. They were dealing with poverty and hunger. Paul said, find something beautiful in your life and think about it. Find something, I love the translation, lovely. One of my friends did a translation of this for a work of art that he was doing. His name's Jim LePage. He said, whatever is awesome, whatever is rad, whatever is super nice, think about those things. It's not about being like, pretending that there's nothing wrong in the world. It's not about being a Pollyanna and saying the problems aren't there and they don't matter. It's saying in the face of the world, being the world, we can still find lovely and beautiful and awesome and rad and super nice things. It's the way we end our night every night in our house. No matter how bad the day, what was your favorite thing today? What was the best thing today? Sometimes it's that the day is stinking over. Thanks be to God. Sometimes it's that I didn't take a swing at the guy that I wanted to take a swing at. Sometimes it's the smile of my daughter, or time with friends, or sitting and relaxing, or it's finally cool outside and I can walk outside without being covered in sweat. There's always something. Paul says, think about these things. If you're going to obsess in your thinking, obsess about what is beautiful and lovely and just and pure and good. Let that occupy your mind. An amazing thing happens when we do that. You see, when we get caught up in the negativity, when we get caught up in the badness of the world or our lives, when we get caught up in the things that are going wrong, guess what we put back out into the world? If I'm angry and frustrated, someone asks me for help, my answer doesn't sound very good. If I'm angry and frustrated already, and someone does something silly that's wrong, my answer doesn't look very good, right? Hatred, anger, selfishness, being inconsiderate of others. These things, they feed on one another. They build on one another. They just keep snowballing down the hill. It's like those cartoons, right? Like it's about to be Grinch time, right? How the Grinch stole Christmas, when they snowball down the hill and it becomes this giant ball of snow by the time it gets to the bottom. How do we wind up with another mass shooting at an LGBTQ community and club in this country? Well, it starts with the words that are said. It starts with recent school board election here in our community. And concerns over the books our children read and the language used about the people in those books. Starts with the jokes we laugh at the expense of other people. And it snowballs. Hatred breeds more hatred, and it snowballs. Paul's invitation to think about these things is an invitation to stop the snowball. It's an invitation to take the momentum away from hatred and move it toward love. That's what Thanksgiving is about. Thanksgiving recognizes that we get caught up in our lives and don't stop to appreciate. And so we say, well, hey, stop at least once a year and say thank you. Because sometimes that's the best we can do. But Paul invites us to make that a way of life, to make gratitude and appreciation the way that we approach every day, to spend time in communities like this where we are fed, especially when we don't want to, because it will change our perspective. I didn't want to get up and preach today. I didn't know if I had it in me, to be honest. Because it's been one of those weeks. I showed up yesterday and spent time with people in this church who are passionate about how we proclaim Christmas together. And I came in this morning and heard the songs, and saw the work that people do around this building, saw new faces as we worship together. God's up to something. In the midst of the badness, in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of the hardness, good stuff is still happening. If we can stop, take a deep breath, notice it, and give thanks. I invite you this Thanksgiving to try on a new attitude, to try on a new perspective, to look at Philippians chapter 4 and go down that list and ask yourself, what did I see today that was beautiful? What did I see that was just? What did I see today that made my heart glad? What was my best thing on this day? May you be gratitude and gratefulness and joy in a world that needs it. Amen.